Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, we got another absolutely wonderful show coming your way today. And I'm just excited. I'm excited about today's show, and I know that you are excited as well. So I tell you, we're gonna talk about this topic that I think is everyone need to know about that. Especially when it comes to disability, things that tips and other recommendations that we might have. We got this guest is going to bring out so many things that we need to talk about. So I'm excited about having a guest on today. And I know that you're going to be excited as well. So I tell you, well, we're going to talk about those things, and we got a lot. And Michelle, how you doing today? How you doing?
I am doing great. I'm really excited about today's show. And this is a very important topic. And we have this amazing guest on talk about not only his nonprofit organization, about, situations, circumstances where you find yourself in and how you adapt to it.
Got to adapt to it. But hey, Todd, how you doing today? How you doing, Todd?
I'm always good, even better on a Friday. This is going to be an inspirational show. I know it. You ready to lock it in?
Let's lock it in, man. Let's lock everything in.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and we got an absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. And I tell you, this is a topic that I think need to be talked about because a lot of times, especially when it comes to folks with disability, it's a lot of times that when we travel, we don't know what to travel, how to travel, and some of the certain things that we should have an understanding of. So we got this absolutely fantastic guest that's going to enlighten us on all of these things, and I am so excited to have him on the show. But I'm not going to steal Michelle's thunder. I'm not going to steal her thunder. But one thing I will say, whichever platform that you're watching us on, was it E360 TV, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, and over 68 other live streaming platforms. Welcome to the show. And if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments. Ask any question that you might have. I'm sure we'll get you an answer. Or you can pick up the phone call. We're streaming live on the radio. KCBQ, AM 1170 Answer, FM 96.1 out of San Diego. Okay. And the answer, and my main man Todd will put you through. Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And you're right. I can't wait for this amazing guest to tell his story and how he's advocating for the specific topic, which I will be discussing soon.
Well, can you please introduce the title, the show, purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely fantastic guest?
Oh, most definitely. So the title of today's show is Accessible Travel for All. We're having a sit-down discussion with Mark Raymond Jr. He's a strategic leader and the founder and CEO of the Split Second Foundation. He's going to discuss accessible travel tips and tricks for those living with a disability or medical condition, questions you should ask when booking a hotel or activity. And he's going to talk about some helpful resources. So again, Mark's founder, CEO of the Split Second Foundation, based in New Orleans, is a nonprofit healthcare startup dedicated to promoting the holistic wellness of individuals with disabilities. The mission is to deliver comprehensive care, resources, and education to those affected, fostering resilience and enhancing their quality of life, from fitness programs designed to improve mobility and strength to mental health services, offering counseling and emotional support. His commitment to fighting for justice and equity was intensified following a shallow diving accident in 2016, which he damaged the vertebrae by the base of his neck and lost the ability to walk. Mark has a deep-rooted history of serving his community, has played a vital role in advancing various equity-centered efforts across the greater New Orleans area and beyond. So please welcome to the show, Mr. Mark Raymond Jr.
Wow,
Welcome.
thank you.
How you doing? Well, let's do that again.
Yeah, there it is. That's what I'm talking about.
How you doing, Mark? How you
I'm
doing?
doing well. I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Hey, welcome to the show, my friend. Welcome to the show. I'm excited now. I know our viewers and our listeners are excited to get a better understanding of the things that they might want to know about, especially, got disability and you're traveling and a lot of things that people just don't know. So we want to make their journey easier. So, can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up, what you're passionate for, and why you so, just off into making sure that everybody, got a smooth transition in travel.
Sure. Well, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, born and raised, went to high school and college here. Got a degree in chemistry and physics before I decided I wanted to switch to a career in broadcast television, mostly working behind the camera. July 4th, 2016, I had a diving accident where I had a burst fracture of the fifth vertebrae in my neck, resulting in paralysis from about the chest down. So I'm a full time wheelchair user. And that experience has really shaped my life's purpose since, I'll say, the first year um, after the accident was really the hardest, and adapting to a new life, a new routine, one that, where my old life really didn't have much merit. And so I had to learn a lot of new tricks, learn a lot of patience, learn how to deal with adversity. Uh, and inevitably, one thing that I recognized was that there just wasn't enough resources in my community for people like me, and then just in general, people with disabilities. So we founded Split Second Foundation to really address that disparity and create programming so everybody has an opportunity to participate in society in a really involved way that gives them belonging and a sense of purpose and hope for the future. Um, Along that journey, we also started to talk about how just difficult it was to travel and transportation, um, and started to advocate for how can we do this a little bit better? How can we share information? How can we give people tips and tricks on what to prepare for on these journeys? And that's kind of how we've gotten to this point in life where we are advising folks and working with destination marketing organizations to help cities better promote accessible transportation and tourism.
Wow, a change of life, and that occurs in many different ways, but sometimes it brings insight. It brings a way, especially if you're a believer. I'm a believer, that God is always working with us,
Oh yes.
and we don't always know what His plan is. But when we're in a situation or circumstance and we start seeing it clearly, it's not all about us. It's about what we can do to help others. And I kind of sense that in you, that, you know, your current situation, not your final destination. And it's all about helping others. With that being said, I had to throw a wrench in this right off the bat. Uh, if you had one adjective to describe who you are and your passion for what you do, Mark, what adjective would that be?
Effective.
All right. All right. Explain.
Well, I've focused on outcomes. And a lot of times doing this work, learning how to start a nonprofit, learning how to navigate society, politics, business, fundraising, communications, legal, administration, operations, right? You end up learning this bag of tricks of how to just effectively move the work forward because you're doing all of these different things to accomplish a goal, right? Whether that's to open a business that's going to serve or sell something. For me, it was serving the disability community by giving them a community space to go to and figure out who they are. And what's funny, like, you mentioned it is like the God in me, right? Like that space is for them. It's it was built around my suffering, but in a way to make theirs more efficient and eliminate it, hopefully for the most part altogether.
Wow. Mark, many times that we experience setback. That's what I like to call it, setback or trial and tribulation. Many of us sometimes just, I believe, go into the pit again. Why me?
Mhm.
Why me? Why me? When did you realize that I can't stay on this side over here because I got to live and I got purpose and I got to get away from here as quickly as possible so I can bring joy back in my life and bring joy to others? Can you talk about that a little bit?
For me, it was probably so I was here for the first year, and then me and my mother went to Sacramento, California. Keep in mind, my mother's my full-time caregiver too, so her role in life transitioned into this as well. And getting away from New Orleans, away from my norms in my, that first year, like what was not quite a normal routine, but a normal routine of just chaos, and into a space where I saw other people with disabilities thriving, and to your point, living with joy and purpose, and just continuing to like push the limitations on what doctors said recovery could look like or life could look like. Really gave me like that, okay, if they not over here complaining, I gotta chill with this. It's not a why, it was a why me thing, because I didn't have the resources to like see a way out. It's kind of like, growing up in communities that are impoverished. You don't get the experience to see what the opposite of that looks like, so you don't know how to move. I didn't know how to move in it until I really saw it and kind of committed to, okay, I can live this life. I want to live this life. I want to look forward to this life. Let me wake up and do that every day. That was a good year and a half.
Wow. Hold it though, because we got to take a station break. And I tell you, whichever platform that you're watching this on, if you want to be part of the conversation, all you do is go to the comments. Ask any questions that you might have. Or pick up that phone and dial 1-888-344-1170 again. That's 1-888-344-1170. We're going to take a station, but we're going to come back and we're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up with Mark Raymond. We got so much we're going to cover. So remember, it's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold. Noah Dingley here, producer of
James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. It's the James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you what, Mark. Sometimes we party here, man.
I'm from New Orleans. We party all the time.
I'm enjoying this discussion with you, my friend. I think it's much needed. And it's like I said, a lot of people don't want to talk about a lot of things because they go over in this little space, this corner, don't want to come out.
Yeah.
But joy, happiness comes in a lot of forms, especially when we helping others. I'm gonna say that again. Joy and happiness come in a lot of forms, especially when we are helping others. When we bring a smile, we bring joy, regardless of whatever the situation or circumstances is. So hey, I commend you, brother, on everything that you're doing. So audience, I know you tune in. I can see the numbers. If you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on. Ask any questions that you might have. I promise you, my main man, Mark, will get you an answer. I promise you that. Or you can pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. So, Mark, how does the lack of support regarding some people, disability, push them to become advocates just like you? And I know that in certain communities and certain states and government and all that, they don't push all out support. We have to try to convince them that this is needed for the betterment of everyone. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I'll say, I think, I've interviewed a lot of folks in the disability movement, like some of the individuals that were instrumental in getting the ADA approved in the early 90s, and to hear their stories on how they took elements and learned from elements of the civil rights movement to move the disability rights movement forward was really just like eye-opening to see. And in a lot of ways, it's the same today. A lot of it's stemmed from lawsuits, from people just bumping up against that barrier every day and being frustrated with the lack of answers. And at some point, you just say, "I'm going to be the answer. I'm going to do this." And that was how the journey really started with me. And honestly, most of the folks that I do this work with, it's the same with them.
What? Let's talk about your nonprofit. Split Second. Can you tell our viewers and listeners how you came up with that? When did this trigger you that I got to start this, and this is a great thing, and I'm going to take it to the fullest?
It was probably October of 2017. I had just gotten back from Sacramento, and I was talking with family and friends like, "Hey, I got to do something." Like, we just didn't know how we were going to do it, whether it's going to be a for-profit or a nonprofit. We ended up going the nonprofit route so we could supplement the lack of funding with donations and fundraisers and grants, all the other things. Coming up with the name, my best friend actually did that. We were sitting outside of his bar one day, and he's actually the same guy that drugged me out of the water and saved my life. I was telling him what I wanted to do, and he said, "Dude, you should just call it Split Second. Your life changing Split Second." Got up and walked back inside. I was like, just name this organization. That was brilliant. And like walked away. But it was really organic in that process, you know.
What is the mission of Split Second?
Our mission is to provide comprehensive care, resources, education, and advocacy for people impacted by disability in an effort to improve the quality of life. So we provide at our holistic center a host of services like physical fitness, yoga, mental health, um, resource navigation. So connecting folks with different resources that are available in the community. We do a lot of national advocacy work now too, in terms of like Social Security asset limitations. Right now, if you have Social Security or Medicaid, you can't have more than $2,000 in your checking account at any given time, and nobody can live under those, archaic asset limitation laws. So a lot of policy advocacy work, both on the local, state, and federal level. Um, the education piece is the biggest, man. But to your point, giving people joy, giving people a place where they can go and feel like they belong after their whole life was flipped upside down was the impetus of doing this work. Helping them in that process, helping guide them. There was no yellow brick road for me when I got out. So I figured after I paved this path, I need to lend it to some folks that's coming behind me,
Absolutely. Wow. What you just said is great because a lot of people don't know. There are limitations to how much money you can. I mean, it sounds so stupid to me. If you are receiving this or receiving that, it's sometimes we get punished. I
Yeah.
mean, well,
Yes.
it's crazy. We get punished. Coach, well, we can't supply this because you're receiving more than $2,400 a month.
Yeah.
Or
Really, and what we're seeing these systems of government do is lock people in poverty. If you if you get a job, you'll lose your benefits. If you make too much, you'll lose your benefits, right? So they just keep you in this little box, and all you can do is receive that check unless you make enough now to get rid of what they're paying for and supplement the cost of that yourself.
absolutely, we got a homage hunter. Mark is a great guest. What motivates Mark to keep striving to help others?
I'll say I had a huge support system. I was in the hospital for 2.5 weeks and basically an induced coma. And when I woke up, it was a lot of people that were like there to, you know, that were praying for me, that were just wanted to see me. And it was very uplifting. And going through this, living with a disability, you learn how much we are interdependent on everyone in society, when adversity strikes, right? We kind of all lean in on each other. Um, that kind of keeps me going these days.
A support system is always absolutely wonderful because that keeps us built up and it keeps us knowing that other cares. That motivates, and I'm talking about just these my thoughts, that motivates us to want to do things for others,
Yeah.
especially if they're in the same situation and circumstances that we're in. And just to tell you, and I said this on the air, I am disabled as well, 100%. So you're not alone, my friend, if that make any sense. And it's all about bringing joy and happiness to others in any way that we can.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about the title of the show, um, accessible travel for all.
Mm-hmm.
How do people living with disability and medical condition even start to plan for a vacation or a trip or or this? I mean, so I'm sure a lot of our viewers and listeners are dying to hear some of the things that you got to say.
Well, I'll say it starts with patience because And I tell you, it starts with it. You pack it, bring it with you, and you're gonna need it on the flight back home too. The biggest thing that I tell people is you really want to plan every step of your trip thoroughly, from calling the airline and connecting with them, calling the transportation and arranging that, making sure like if you have a mobility device that the transportation and the airlines can take care of that, and then all the way to like the accommodations and the attractions. You want to make sure that the room you're staying in, if you need that, is accessible, has a roll-in shower, has all the features you need. All of that requires just a level of planning and patience, because they're gonna mess up too. If something's gonna be wrong. Like I try to just preemptively prepare myself for something to go wrong and just be ready to smile through it.
So it's a lot of planning that goes in, and you mentioned the hotel, you mentioned this, you mentioned all that, and it's important that we choose the right hotel or the right types of hotel that's going to help suffice our needs. How do a person go about making those type of decisions? And we can start it, but we got a break coming up in a minute.
Honestly, most hotels have, all hotels now have ADA rooms. It's just about calling and making sure that room is available, and making sure like if you do need a roll-in shower that they have that. The biggest thing that I've always run into is the transportation piece, because not every city has accessible transportation, wheelchair accessible vehicles where you can just drive on and easily get around.
Hold that thought, because we got to take a station break, and we're going to come back. Transportation piece is the most important thing. So I want to keep that thought in mind, and I tell you, our viewers, you guys are enjoying this show. You are. Mark Raymond Jr. is an absolutely fantastic guest. But we got a lot more Mark coming back. So if you want to be part of the conversation, stop playing. All you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on, ask any question that you might have, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Yes, your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Craving a slice of Chicago right here in Temecula wine country? Then dive into legendary Chicago deep dish style.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. That's right.
We live in a world today that people don't even care about how people see them. Don't realize that we can affect an entire generation and build our character. But you gotta do it with these 4 C's. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. Create, collaborate, then you commit with confidence. It's the 4 C's. It's the 4 C's. In this life you are gonna grow, but there's things in this world that you gotta know to be the best that you can.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I'm sitting here having so much fun with Mark Raymond Jr. And we're talking about accessible travel for all. And plus, we're talking about other, he's throwing a lot of other nuggets in there that we all need to understand and know about. And so, we're going to pick his brain, try to get as much information from him as possible. So it would benefit us all. But hey, Todd, come on, Todd. You're sitting back in the studio, California studios, listening to every word, my friend. What do you think so far?
Well, a great show, and Mark is a great guest. It's very admirable what he does for others, and he's really changing, people's lives to be able to have all these things that everybody else has. Nobody should be limited to where they go and the things that they need. So mad props to Mark. He's very admirable, and what a great show for Friday. Very inspirational going into the weekend.
Very inspirational. And more, I want to get back to, and I know Todd threw this thing up about, hey, JC, you got 1 minute before the break, and so we went to the break, and you was in the middle of explaining certain things that need to be considered when you're traveling. You mentioned the hotel. You mentioned a lot of other things. Can you pick it up with that?
Yeah, I think depending on the specific person's needs, you really want to be intentional just about the plan, right? I, as a person who is traveling with a very heavy power wheelchair, always try to get to the airport early because I know I'm gonna have to go through TSA, and that's gonna be a pain. I also know that I need a aisle chair to get from my wheelchair to my seat on the plane because my wheelchair does not currently fit on planes. So they have to transfer me and get me into that. That's a process. I'm going to be the last person on the plane because they got to get my chair off from underneath and then get it all the way down to the bottom of the jet bridge. And that's a process. And then get back on that aisle chair at a new destination to get off the plane. So, I'm always just trying to be as patient with folks as possible and nice. It does not cost me anything to be nice to people. And I know that a lot of times they're thrust into managing a lot of these types of situations. And sometimes people can be a little unruly. And I try to always encourage folks just to be nice to the folks that are helping and trying to be helpful. But typically, too, again, when I land and I'm looking for transportation, I try to already have that plate already planned out, played out. Whether I'm taking Uber or I've got some folks that are coming to pick us up. Same thing. As soon as I get to the hotel, I just want to make sure everything's the way I need it to be. So if I need to solve a problem, right now is the time to solve the problem. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah. So I think transportation is probably the biggest challenge. At least.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. Transportation has gotten a lot better across the country, but companies like Uber and Lyft, which are known as transportation network companies, are not. They weren't considered when the ADA was written. They didn't exist. So for a long time, we didn't have accessible Uber or Lyfts available. Now that's becoming more normal. But even like the taxi cabs, I've only seen a heavy presence of wheelchair accessible taxi cabs in some of the biggest cities, New York, Chicago, Seattle, DC, Houston kind of vibes. Good.
Mark, I have a question. So my thing is this. So you go if you want to travel to another country, someone who has, whether it's a medical condition or a disability, of course, United States, we know certain rules and laws, but other countries, how does one go about finding the proper, I would say, setup or place to stay? How do they look if you're going outside the country? let's say you want to go to some place in Europe and you want to check out, and the hotels and the hostels are different than
Yeah.
in the United States, and they may not be as friendly, for those suffering from disabilities as the United States is. How does someone go about finding out if it's conducive to their travel?
So I recommend one site, and I'm gonna plug them. It's Wheel the World. They've done a really good job of being intentional on collecting information on places all over the world for people with mobility challenges to use as like that travel agent, source of info, broker. Like they're trying to do a lot in that space in terms of just from a huge perspective, like sharing as much information with folks as possible. So I tell everybody to connect with them, and see what they have. Also, like I do a ton of, even after looking at something like that, I'll go do a ton of Google searches and Instagram searches. You got AI now too, like,
Oh yeah.
and just really trying to get as much information about a place that I'm going to as possible. Because the last thing you want is to get somewhere and you need something and you don't know where to look to find it. And then it's like a kind of moment,
Oh, most definitely. We and my husband do travel a lot, and as airplanes, the bathrooms, and just they're tiny, and the
Yeah.
aisles are very narrow, and especially if you're taking a flight 4 hours and then some. How which challenges have you come across, not you personally, but that you have researched and has been communicated to you about the accessible, let's say, laboratory convenience, or for people who are suffering from disabilities? I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say somebody has it's an obesity problem, but they're really extremely obese, and they're using the laboratories on the airplanes. What have you heard, whether it's a medical condition or disability, about the challenges that are faced by people who are going through this?
Oh, it's all kind of challenges with the airplanes and the airlines in general. Um, like seeing people with physical disabilities literally dragging themselves to the bathroom on a plane because they don't have aisle chairs on the plane for
Yes.
in-flight, lavatory usage. Not to mention like all the work that's being done so that we don't actually have to get out of our wheelchairs, that we could just fly in them. I mean, it's all of it. The lavatory situation and just space in general on the plane is a challenge, and I understand, I guess, the business case as to why they try to cram as much stuff on a plane as possible, but it's not standardized like the rest of everything else is. I.e., like the aisles on an airplane are not a set length like you would want the aisles in your house to be. And it seems like it's a simple design issue with how we need to design planes for the future,
Yes.
including more space for bigger lavatories.
Oh yes, most definitely. I mean, I'm cramped in there, and I try not to use if I don't have to. So, can you repeat what that site you mentioned about, world travel?
Yes, Wheel the
Can you
World.
repeat that?
It's wheeltheworld.com.
Wheeltheworld.com. Okay, can you just plug that in our private chat, and we're just going to advertise it in our commentary.
Yeah.
And James, do you have any questions for this amazing guest before we go to break?
No, well, we got to take a station break. I don't want Todd to beat me up. So we're gonna take a station break, but we're gonna come back because we got so much more that we're going to cover. And Mark, just like I mentioned to you, ain't nothing but a party.
It is Friday.
I tell you what, whichever platform you're watching this on, if you want to be part of this great conversation with this great guest, all you got to do is just go to the comments ask any question that you might have, or pick up the phone. Dial 1-888-344-1178. Remember, it's your life, and we're coming back with some more Mark directly after this break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
A black man's point.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Craving a slice of Chicago right here in Temecula wine country? Then dive into legendary Chicago deep dish style pizza at Rosati's Pizza Pub. Piled high with gooey cheese, rich tomato sauce, and your favorite toppings, Rosati's delivers the taste of the Windy City right to your table or front door. Enjoy that cozy pub atmosphere and an impressive selection of Temecula wines. Come on down to Rosati's Pizza Pub for your slice of Chicago right here on Rancho California Road, or order online at myrosatis.com. Rosati's, where Chicago deep dish pizza meets Temecula charm.
Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023. Unified Brain Z and the other organizations, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Leaders and heroes, get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
Craving a slice of Chicago right here in Temecula wine country? Then dive into legendary Chicago deep dish style pizza at Rosati's Pizza Pub. Piled high with gooey cheese, rich tomato sauce, and your favorite toppings, Rosati's delivers the taste of the Windy City right to your table or front door. Enjoy that cozy pub atmosphere and an impressive selection of Temecula wines. Come on down to Rosati's Pizza Pub for your slice of Chicago right here on Rancho California Road, or order online at myrosatis.com. Rosati's, where Chicago deep dish pizza meets Temecula charm.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Wow. You know, and we're not talking about the Wild Wild West, but we're talking about wow. And Todd, Todd, I am filled with joy. This young man right here, he's laying it down. I mean, he's putting it out there. A lot of things that he's talking about and what Michelle just mentioned need to be considered. Anytime of that a person is traveling with disabilities or other things or other problems. I mean, just like Michelle mentioned, obesity and all this other type of stuff, and one shoe don't fit all, meaning airlines, rooms, availabilities, all these things have to be considered, need to be reconsidered. Todd, real quickly, 30 seconds or less, what are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, great show, and good things for everyone to consider. And man, makes me want to travel. Now, and I'm wondering what's Mark's next destination? Where is he traveling to next?
And Mark, where you going, man?
Man, I'm kind of all over the place. DC, Chicago, Sacramento, trip to Atlanta, and driving and flying. So, you know, I like to get around.
So, Mark, so your organization, your nonprofit, is not just stationary in New Orleans. Or you getting out, putting the word out, and working with other communities and cities, so that they would get a better understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. This work for me is national, and although our brick and mortar like service, direct service providing facility is in New Orleans, the first one at least, the advocacy work that we do is national. A lot of my relationships now are national. The boards that I serve on are national. So I'm everywhere. We're slowly scaling.
Wow. Does your organization have any upcoming projects going into the remainder of this year? I can't believe next week is September, but we're getting ready to end the third quarter. But does your organization have any like events coming up in the end of the third quarter or fourth quarter this year?
Yeah, so we actually just kicked off the launch of a capital campaign. 'Cause we're in the middle of a redevelopment project for our second location.
Mhm.
Basically, we needed to raise $5 million. Of that, we've already raised 3. We got 1.8 coming from the U.S. Commerce Department, $1 million coming from the city of New Orleans, and then the other $2 million we're going to raise from a variety of sources: grants, small donations, corporate sponsors. But we've got a gala coming up on Thursday, October 3rd. Our gala is called A Show of Love. This year's theme is Love Made Me Do It. Love made me do it. We're gonna need a special song to go with that.
What is location? Where your second location? It's going to be in New Orleans as well.
It's gonna be in New Orleans, but the next location, the third one we're working on too right now, actually is gonna be in Baton Rouge. So we're slowly moving and spreading our wings. But I'm telling you that advocacy work, that policy, the lobbying work, that's national. I talk to congressmen, senators, state treasurers, governors all the time.
Love made you do it.
Love made me do it.
You know, so I tell you, what role can the communities all across the country do to contribute to your organization and the things that you're doing?
There's a lot that so many people can do. The main thing, honestly, you know, it might be cliche, but a monthly donor is the biggest, most impactful donation that we receive. It's better than any of the large corporate donations, building the community, because everybody needs these services. And what I've learned doing this work is that we're not just impacting the disability community, but the aging community. And people have accidents every day. I'm going to hospitals, you know, I have relationships with hospitals, talking to newly injured families and folks who've had strokes, connecting them to peers who could support them and help them get to a better, you know, space quickly. But that support, you know, again, comes from those one individual donors being able to come up with $15 a month. That's it.
Wow. So what have you thought of writing a book or authoring a book about your experiences and the education and the message you want to get out to people who may be in a similar situation? What are your thoughts on that?
Doc, I'm right in the middle of it. I'm
Oh.
dead smack in the middle of it. Trying to, you know, there's so many lessons. It's like, okay, what am I trying to squeeze into this book, you know, and how much and how deep do we want to go? How vulnerable do I want to get? How much do I want to show all of the true nature of just the darkness that, you know, you kind of go through when you're dealing with huge amounts of grief and guilt. It's been a challenging project for me, but very rewarding.
Michelle and I are both writers, several books, all that, etc. I believe that if there is a conviction within individual, they have to talk about it. They put mostly everything that in their heart that God allowed them to share their story, because your thoughts, whatever you think, might help so many others out there. We got less than 2 minutes in the show. What are a couple of takeaways? First of all, how can people get in touch with you? And you tell them how they can donate to you. And one takeaway, you got less than a minute, 45 seconds to get all that cramped in.
Okay. First things first, to get in contact with me, the easiest way is Instagram. You can follow me at Mark Raymond Jr. JR. I'm pretty active. I've got a pretty large following. To donate, you would go to splitsecondfoundation.org. And you'll see the little donate box right in the top right hand corner of your screens. Anybody who would sign up to be a monthly donor, I thank you in advance. The biggest message, Doc, that I think I try to leave with everyone is we're all going to go through something, and it's not about what you're going through. It's about how you respond to it. It's about how you get through it. It's about how you embrace the process, because it's going to be a journey.
It's a journey, and it's all about the attitude, right? It's all about the attitude. You know what, Mark? I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the James Cooley Show. It's your life. You are welcome back again, my friend. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. I'd like to thank my KCB crew, my producers back in San Diego. You guys are great. I love you guys. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's your life, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, every day, and also Saturday and Sunday. We on 7 days a week. And I tell you what, just want everybody to dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do. We'll be back tomorrow. Boy, this weekend, we own the best of the James Cook Show. We'll be back Monday, same time, same station. It's your life. We love you guys.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
We all hear the